News and notes. The old man, he's not done yet. Justin Verlander is signing a 1-year, $15 million deal with the San Francisco Giants. Verlander will be 42 years old on opening day. Not really sure how much he has left. He was limited to 17 starts last season. And once he returned from the IL in the second half, he was pretty awful. Chris, your thoughts, Justin Verlander to the Giants?
I think the chances of him ever being an impact player again are pretty limited, but as far as landing spots go, this is about as good as you could have hoped for. Very good home park to play in. Should be a decent defensive team, especially along the infield. And for as finished as Justin Verlander looked, and I've seen a lot of jokes going around social media of like Justin Verlander on the Giants, and then it's like a picture of Patrick Ewing in like an Orlando Magic jersey.
Yeah.
Or Sammy Sosa on the Orioles or whatever.
I saw Shaquille O'Neal in a Celtics jersey.
That already happened. Like, that part of Justin Verlander's career has already begun. He got left off the playoff roster last year. Like, it's hard for things to get lower than that. And I will point out, 5.48 ERA, FIP, and all that stuff was terrible. 3.78 xERA. He actually did limit hard contact well enough.
Before he got hurt last season, he had a 3.95 ERA.
He was okay. It's just the whiff rates on all of his pitches have completely disappeared.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the best case scenario you're hoping for here is a, I don't know, Chris Bassett impersonation where he's just good enough that he doesn't hurt you.
Even then, like, even if he's as good as Chris Bassett on a per game basis, which I think the odds are pretty long, he's not going to give you that kind of volume in all likelihood. He is aging, and I think it's revealing that he only signed with the Giants, a team that's not a surefire contender, not one with, I would say, serious World Series aspirations, when the only reason Justin Verlander is pitching is for competition's sake. You know, he's made his millions. He's stamped his ticket for Cooperstown. He just enjoys the competition of it. And that he'd sign with a team that a 1-year deal with a team like the Giants tells me he wasn't getting comparable offers from the teams that would more likely bring him to the World Series.
So probably not worth drafting in a standard mixed league, right?
I think he'll be drafted in like half of CBS Sports leagues, and he'll be like a streamer even in those.
I have a hard time seeing him in any points league, given how shallow those are.
It is a perfect ballpark. You mentioned that, Chris. Just wanted to reiterate, Oracle Park over the past 3 years has the worst home run factor for hitters. So obviously that's a great thing for a pitcher, especially a fly ball pitcher like Justin Verlander. So maybe he can squeak out some value, but not really worth drafting in a standard mixed league. The updated Giants rotation, by the way, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and Justin Verlander. It feels solid. I don't want to say good, but it feels okay. So we'll see what they can do. Brent Rooker and the A's have agreed on a 5-year, $60 million extension, and Rooker had an incredible season last year. He hit 293, 39 home runs, 112 RBI, 11 steals, and a 927 OPS. He finished as the 15th overall player, and looks like he's getting a park upgrade too, going from Oakland Coliseum to Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. He did have surgery to clean up a forearm extensor injury, but Scott, looks like Brent Rooker is sticking around with the A's for the foreseeable future. His ADP in 3 January drafts is 76.7, which sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good. And I think his DH only status helps a lot with that, because we always see the draft stock suppressed for those players beyond what's reasonable. And it's less sensible in the case of Brent Rooker, because we expect him to regain outfield eligibility in short order. The A's have talked about him playing more outfield this year. I think, wasn't there some kind of health issue that prevented him from doing it last year? Yeah.
Yeah. He played I think 5 or 6 games in the first month plus of the season, and then just didn't play the outfield at all. So even if he's not like a full-time outfielder, if they just used him the way they did last year, he should get outfield eligibility relatively soon.
Before the end of April, yeah. So the other wrinkle, of course, is that he's kind of a one-hit wonder. He was solid in 2023 as well, but he wasn't across the boards must-start kind of stud. And yeah, you look at his StatCast page, and there's a lot of red on it. Of course, that itself can sometimes be a mirage. But I think for the cost, there's not a lot of reason to harbor concerns about Brent Rooker.
Brandon Woodruff is throwing bullpens twice per week and said Monday that he's in a, quote, really, really good spot, but not sure that he'll be ready for opening day. This is the second time we've heard something like this for Brandon Woodruff, who is recovering from surgery on the anterior capsule in his right shoulder that he had in October of 2023.
I did read that piece from MLB.com. It was like the first time Brandon Woodruff has like talked about his recovery from the shoulder surgery at all, I think is the way it sounded. And he said it sounded more like he's not sure he will pitch in the first series because he's not sure if he will have earned that. That was my takeaway from what he was saying. Not that he won't be ready on opening day. His surgeon told him to have a normal off season. He said he feels good. He hasn't pitched. Like, he has no idea where his velocity is. He said he's not doing that until he gets to the team facility, which I think is actually, he's reporting like this week is what he said. So he's going to like get in the lab and see what everything looks like and get all the biometrics and all that. But he feels good, and he is having a normal off season with the expectation that he will be ready for the start of the season. He's just not sure if he will be pitching on opening day or the first. I think they play in New York the first weekend. So he's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to pitch in New York or, after that. But my read on it was he does expect to be ready for the start of the season. And I'd rather take the flyer on him than Justin Verlander.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not a comparison. I'm bearish about Brandon Woodruff coming off this injury. And I suspect I'll have most of my pitching staff filled out by the time I consider taking him, but it's a lottery ticket given his track record.
Yeah. The ADP in three NFBC January drafts for Woodruff is 232. So at that point in a 12-team league, you can, it has been falling. It was closer to 200 in November, and it's actually, come down.
That's actually stunning.
Yeah. And NFBC, you have no IL spots, so it's a little bit tougher. Yeah, maybe he is ready, the first or second week of the season, something like that. But you might want to be more careful and maybe plan to draft Woodruff in a league where you do have an IL spot.
I have him 176th. Maybe I'm not bearish on Brandon Woodruff. I don't know. I feel like I am, but
I'll be honest. I did not expect, when I said surprising, that was not like, oh, that's low. That's way higher than I thought it would be.